A federal appeals court on Thursday rejected the Trump administration's bid to halt an order requiring it to release millions of dollars in grants meant to address the shortage of mental health workers in schools. The mental health program, which was funded by Congress after the 2022 school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, included grants meant to help schools hire more counselors, psychologists, and social workers. It was with a focus on rural and underserved areas of the country. But President Trump's administration opposed aspects of the grant programs that touched on race, saying they were harmful to students, and told recipients they wouldn't receive funding past this month.
Joining us again is our Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, clearly the Federal Appeals Court sending a message here. Can a president cancel mental health grants that Congress has already approved?
Congress is the keeper of the purse. That's how it's supposed to be. I mean, everything until this year, that's how it worked. 3 co-equal branches of government. Congress cuts the check, writes the checks, appropriates funds, creates a budget, president signs off on it, and then the checks are dispersed to agencies that or government entities that received them, and it trickles down from the federal government to the states, and that's how it used to work. And so while I can understand and appreciate what the Court of Appeals is saying, I take it back to our last case with the Supreme Court. In the past, if this Court of Appeals would have ruled like this, I would be 100% confident that the Supreme Court would have echoed this and would have rejected cert and would not even have heard this case if it comes to them. This rendition of this court, if it hears this case, it would ultimately reverse this because there is a meeting ground right now of where we are for executive power. I truly believe this was granted and handled on its merits. And let's look at what they said. You talked about it in its opening. Congress enacted this, so we know who gave the money. Congress did, and it was in response to something. We're a very reactive society. Our laws are based on things that happen, and Congress goes and writes laws. Okay, so we have this mental health crisis that was happening in Uvalde. We had a gun situation that happened there, school shooting. Let's go ahead and connect guns to mental health, and let's give funding to it. That's typically, you see a problem, you need money, then you get a solution. President Trump comes in and says, well, you know what? I like everything about it except that it's talking about race, except that it's talking about gender. And as President Biden, what he attempted to do was throw folks in there and say, well, in these rural areas, to incentivize you actually giving people an opportunity to have all these things, we'll give you this money if you also can increase, gender opportunities. Not quotas, not, mandatory hiring, but opportunities. And that was what was attempting to happen. Trump administration put this on the chopping block of a number of programs during the Elon Musk era of attempting to remove and add funding back to the government.
So is the administration arguing that because this deals with schools, that this actually falls under the Department of Education?
I think they're just saying that it was based on race and sex, and because of that, we don't want anything connected to that. It goes more to the Trump administration's executive order to remove and dismantle anything that connects to race and gender. One of the things he signed, maybe one of his first weeks in office, saying that you have to remove anything in any program that's connected to this. This program would have fell under that, but the court had an address for that. They said it was arbitrary and capricious. In law school, we see that a number of times. I remember thinking, well, what the heck does that mean? It means random. It means no logic. It means you're doing this and it has no causal connection to what you're saying it's about. And we've seen the Trump administration get struck down a number of times this year with cases similar to this. With the school, with the Harvard case, they went after Harvard and said, look, we're going to withhold funding because you're not telling us the people that were participating in these protests. The court came back and said, your argument is arbitrary and capricious. It lacks logic. You're taking funds for research away because they're not giving you things connected to protesting. The two don't connect. Give them the money. That's exactly what this court said.
Okay, so does this mean the Carolinas will see the money start to flow again and also maybe more counselors back in schools, or what happens now?
It should, but I would say just like anything else with this rendition of the court's process, courts are giving the Trump administration opportunity to appeals, and I would suspect that they will appeal this ruling because this is something that is stemming right from the president. He said in his executive order, any program that goes out there and touches on race and/or sex, any type of gender discrimination, we want to go out and tackle it, and to promote, as his words, to promote divisive ideologies based on race and sex. Any program that does that, we want to cut it off. And so I see the Trump administration going after this continually.
And so the next appeal would be directly to?
Oh yeah, Supreme Court, and I think they'll grant cert, and I think they'll overturn it.
All right, Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes, thank you for your insight there. Appreciate that.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.